K-Rockcast, the podcast where music and perspectives collide.
I'm Anne, a music lover who's the ultimate fan.
And I'm Kelly, a professional musician. Join us as we dive into the world of the Rose and other Korean and Asian rock bands.
Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll wildly disagree, but what's guaranteed is a passionate, hilarious, and unfiltered conversation about the music that unites us and the bands that inspire us. Hey Kelly, we are here for our episode Into the Moon, and our deep dive today is going to be the Rabbit to the Moon Festival. But before we do that, I have to tell our listeners this cute story I was telling you before we started recording. So I kind of want to say it on air too. I was telling you that of all the people in my life, my mother has literally listened to every episode of our podcast, which I thought was so sweet and so cute. My mom is so supportive. But she said the cutest thing. She said, "And she said, I don't understand a thing you and Kelly talk about, but I just enjoy listening to you." And then she said, "But I like Kelly's voice so much better than yours. Her voice is so lovely." And then she proceeds to say, "But Anne, you interrupt her all the time. It's so American of you."
Love
Like,
that.
do I do that? I hope I don't interrupt you all the time.
No, you don't. You
Okay, I
don't.
need to be more careful of that apparently, but it's very American of me, but
Oh,
shout out
bless
to my
her.
mother, if anybody's gonna listen to every episode, hopefully your mother does, right?
Yeah, it's kind of what you want. Yeah, mine doesn't.
Your mom's like, "You have a what? A podcast?"
What's one of those? No,
Alright,
she
well,
just turns around and goes, "No, you're not even finished in the bloody studio yet. When's this album coming out?" Yeah, yeah, okay, mum,
she's
okay.
like, "You need to get this album out. When do you have time for a podcast too? You're crazy."
That's pretty much what she'll come out with. Where's the bloody album?
Yeah. Alright, well, thank you, mom, if you're listening, which I'm sure you will to this episode. I love you, and I will try to be
Aw.
better at not interrupting Kelly. Alright, today is March 1st when we're recording, and it's so exciting. We're gonna start off our hot takes with a new announcement. The La 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 Fest, which is an international music festival in Jakarta, Indonesia, announced on February 27th that The Rose is performing. Yay! The festival takes place from August 22nd to August 24th this year. And I think I was excited to see this because after, we knew they were going to perform at Rabbit to the Moon Festival, and then they did. And then it was like, okay, we don't know if anything else is coming out. I know I'm still holding hope that maybe there'll be other festivals, like one or two
I
more this
really
summer.
I I really, really hope so. I'm currently being sort of, poked and prodded and like going, "You wanna come, Kelly, don't you? You wanna go? You wanna go?" I'd love
Oh,
to go, but I mean, come on, it's Jakarta.
I know, and you just went that far, I mean, to go to Thailand, so it's far for a short show.
It's 16 hours flight for me. In fact, actually, it's nearly 17 hours flight.
I know, and I think for me, it's just like, I'm still just holding out for the tour that I hope will still happen at the second half of this
Yeah.
year, and I'm just gonna hold out for that because, I mean, their set at Rabbit was 40 minutes, so it's like to go all that way for 40 minutes.
And to be perfectly honest, I think the set there will only be 40 minutes as well.
I know, so as much as, like, I want to, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
keep holding out
Yeah.
hope.
I'm
Now, I
I'm
said to you, like in the last one, if there's something in Europe that they announce in the summer,
oh,
I would definitely be down to go to Europe because that's so much shorter from the United States and cheaper, to be kinda honest, so
yeah, I was kind of hoping that they might do the Hyde Park British Summertime Festival, but having had a look at who's actually playing and the announcements that have been made, I'd be very, very surprised if they do, which is a shame.
I know, that would've been
Because
perfect.
yeah, but most of the festivals in the UK have already been announced. They're already full, so I don't think there's going to be anything UK wise. And also the same for Europe as well. I feel like most of the actual European festivals have already been announced and the lineups are complete. So
Yeah, and they're not at, like,
Yeah.
the Lollapalooza circuit like they were last
No.
year. There's some big names like Olivia Rodrigo, Justin Timberlake. Those are some big names that are going
Yeah.
through those circuits, and I've seen those lineups then. J-Hope from BTS just got announced for Berlin,
Yeah.
Lollapalooza, so I was
Yeah.
looking at
I
all
know
of the
people.
lineups, and their lineups are pretty full for all those
Yeah,
European
they
Lollapaloozas.
are full festivals. There's
Mhm.
no sudden special guest announcements or anything on any of
No.
those. Weirdly enough, I've been discussing this with one of my friends, and we were saying that we can't understand why they don't do things like the Warp Tour. I know traditionally the Warp Tour is kind of like an indie pop punk festival, but actually their set can lean very heavily towards that.
Mhm. Oh,
And
yeah.
it would give them a completely different audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sometimes struggle with the fact that they sort of sit very heavily in this sort of sphere of, well, we're from Korea, so we've got to sit with the K-pop lot, and it's like you don't. You're just a
Right.
good international band.
Right.
Lean into it, do it. Go out and just show people what you're made of because
Yeah.
they're so capable of fucking doing it, and they
Yeah.
don't. It
Yeah.
annoys me. It's like me going, "I'm just gonna play Download because Download's the pinnacle of rock." It's the monsters of rock. That's exactly what it is. Absolute balderdash and piffle, to be perfectly honest, because music-wise, we don't even really fit in that spectrum anymore. I mean, I listen to that type of music, but we only have a slight crossover with it, with some aspects of what we do. And I mean, the guys would have been ideal at somewhere like Leeds or Reading or Isle of Wight because those type of festivals are indie festivals.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
traditionally what they've always been.
I
So I don't know
know.
who the hell does their booking,
I
but can I
know.
please have a word with them because they are screwing the guys over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know how much people know about festivals and doing your own tours. So when you do your own tour, you can make and break very easily. A lot of people lose money doing their own tours. And if you're lucky, you make enough money that you actually come out with a wage at the end of the day and you've not completely lost money. A lot of artists go on tour and know they're going to lose money.
Wow, I always thought that's where the artist made the money.
Not necessarily. Not
Hmm.
necessarily. A lot of artists actually lose money. However, when you play at a festival, you are basically given a set fee for where you
Mm.
play in the actual line. You don't need to worry about accommodation and all those type of things because if you signed a decent contract, all of that's included.
Mm.
And it's all included in your fee. It's all just part of the package that you do. So you'll find a lot of artists will play the festival scene quite heavily because it
Mm.
subsidizes their own tours. Hence DPR Ian. So he's doing a lot of festival stuff to subsidize. I'll put my teeth in. Subsidize. What's the word?
Subsidized.
There we go. Subsidize. I'm sorry. Do I speak English?
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know,
To subsidize.
Kelly. You speak British, not English, so
Hey,
there is a difference.
do not, honestly, do not make me speak in the Queen's English because I will, and you will not like how I sound. I can over enunciate with the best of them, darling, so do not go there.
Oh, I love that. I
That's
gotta get
just
my
freaked
dig
you the
in.
hell out, hasn't it? It's a great joy of being British because the accent changes where it doesn't matter just where you are. Everybody has this ability to just sort of mini moke everybody else, so everybody can do accents around here. That's doesn't confuse us.
Oh, it's the
Um,
best.
but as I was saying, that's one of the reasons he's doing the festival circuit as heavy as he is because it's paying for him
Yeah,
to tour with 20 dancers
yeah.
and session musicians and everything else.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we were talking in a few episodes ago when they released the teaser of their new light stick, right? And I was saying how
Mhm.
masculine that light stick is, the rose star that looks like a guitar, and that I was surmising that maybe they're looking to rebrand and try to increase the male, audience in some
Mm.
way. And so to me, like going out maybe to more of these broader, just general kind of indie rock festivals also would help bring in a more diverse type of listening audience than maybe they've had up to now. Yeah, you think they would wanna do that.
You think they would, but hey ho, what do we know? Bugger
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Well, we'll see if more little drips come out. I mean, they did promote this one right
Yeah, there
away.
is that.
I said
There
to you,
is
I'm like, "Okay, they're at least promoting it because literally Rabbit to the Moon, it was only weeks ahead of the festival that they did 1 or 2, like,
I
videos.
th I honestly think there were major issues with Rabbit to the Moon. I mean, it
Yeah.
changed venues for a start. It was originally in another part of the exhibition complex before it moved to the arena. It changed ticketing companies as well.
Yeah.
Exhibition centres don't do that. Generally speaking, an exhibition centre will have an alliance with a ticket company for the entire thing.
Mhm.
You don't just swap halfway. There was issues with it, and I
Yeah.
think they were sort of riding the cusp, waiting to work out whether or not they were going to do a show. To be honest,
Yeah, I don't know because I wasn't on the Rosarium when they toured before, but did they ever put their festival shows on the
I can't
Rosarium
remember.
app?
I can't remember seeing it.
Because like,
I
they
can't
never
remember
even
seeing a
put it
festival.
the Rabbit to the Moon on there as like, "Oh, here's where we're touring," or
Yeah,
"Here's where we're
but saying
performing."
that, do you advertise somebody else's festival that they're meant to be advertising when you're going to get paid anyway?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Whereas you advertise your own tour because
Yeah,
you've got to, because otherwise you ain't getting paid.
that's true. I mean, that's a I've
It's
right, that's a very good point.
it's just commercialism. At the end of the day,
Right, it's
you
a
know,
business, yeah.
I mean, we all look at music as being this lovely art form and everything else. It's business. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's business. And if you don't understand business, you're going to fall flat on your ass.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Alright, well, why don't you kinda go into this part of our hot takes where you're gonna highlight some other new artists that you wanna share with our listeners?
Yeah. So I am going to highlight an artist, or it's a band, but it's an artist. So well, I'll explain that in a couple of minutes. Called Esprit d'Air. They are a British Japanese band. I love these guys. They're brilliant. They are so good. So it's Japanese rock or J rock, and they originally formed in 2010. They were around for a couple of years, and then Kai, who is the guitarist, frontman, and wears basically every hat in the band you can think of, he decided that he would work on a different project. And then in 2016, he came back to this project and decided he would do it as a solo project, but it's sort of evolved into a band. It's still kind of his baby, it's his powerhouse. So they are a synth driven band, and Kai, as I mentioned, is the frontman, and he's a guitar genius. He's brilliant. He is so good, and to see them perform live is honestly, it's a masterful show of just technique and precision and just sheer showmanship. They're brilliant.
Mm,
I can honestly say anybody, if you get the chance, go and see Esprit d'Air. You will love them. In between the gap of 2000 and I think 13 and 2016, Kai actually ended up being the lead guitarist for the legendary goth band Sisters of Mercy. So as a little closet goth, I've spent many a night dressed in black from head to foot dancing to Sisters of Mercy. But so that's his other job, which is quite an interesting one. I'm kind of surprised he ended up in working for them, but he did. Their debut album was called Constellations, and that was released in 2017, and it was critically acclaimed.
mm.
They won loads of awards, and they were also picked up by a it was a consortium of
Mm.
metal musicians, and they basically picked their album over everybody else's that had been released that year and just pushed it forward. And I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
there were people like Amy Lee from Evanescence on the board of
Oh,
the jury
wow.
board for these events.
Wow.
So I mean, that tells you how good these guys are. Um, they have a new album coming out this year called Eons, which is about due, I think, at the end of next month. from what I can sort of gather, because they're touring at the moment and they
Mm.
tend to sort of drop an album either just after they've toured or just before, and they've done singles, and I think now we're getting to the just after the tour that they'll drop. Literally yesterday, they released their new single "Lost Horizons," which is fabulous. It's such a good track. They're not frightened of experimenting either. So, I mean, they'll have orchestral versions in there. They have drum and bass versions of their music. They
Oh,
go out of
that's
the way
cool.
just to, yeah, they're really cool. They'll release something and they'll go, do you know what? Let's shove an entire orchestra in there. And they've not just got an orchestra, they've got a full choir behind them. They're not frightened of experimenting. And I really like that. It
Yeah,
just sort
that's
of it also gives them a different audience dynamic. It's one of those nice you don't just go and it's sort of the typical J-rock audience. There's so many different people in there watching what happens, and
mhm.
yeah, and
Well,
they're
thank you for
great.
sharing them. we'll link to them in this episode description, and I'll probably they might be a good next like artist spotlight. I've been kind of doing
I
that
think
with some of
so.
these artists on our Instagram feed. So look out for more from Esprit d'Air. All right.
Right,
Anybody
so
else that you wanted to mention?
well, the only other band I want to mention, and we will get into these properly at some point, are one of the loves of my life, and they're a Japanese band called Dir Grey. I used to work for a music promoter at a very, very, very well known venue in the UK, which is like one of the biggest independent venues. And this particular day, I was in the office and I had to do because I work front of house. I had to run upstairs to see the sound engineers to take some stuff up. I go pottling upstairs, and there's this band sound checking on stage, and I knew they were on, and I was on the guest list. I was going to stop just because that's what you used to do. It was the one perk of the job,
Yeah, that'd
and
be so cool.
these guys were on stage, and I literally stood there, and my jaw dropped. And this was a band called Dirt and Grey, and they are a Japanese rock progressive rock band. They sometimes fall into a little bit of metal, but they are so good. They've been around for forever and a day, but they keep evolving. And they've
Mm.
got lots of offshoot bands and everything else. So, I mean, when we do look at Daring Grey, which we will, at some point we'll also get onto like Petit Bricon and all the other acts as well that are involved with the members. They're so beloved in Japan as well that
Mm.
they're one of these that have got endorsements and God knows what else, and they all like do training videos on how to shred the bass, and yeah, I love them. So we will get onto them at some point. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gushing now.
It seems so interesting because, like, we've said that, in Korea, the rock scene, rock bands have struggled to kind of get like a foothold in that market. That traditional idol, K-pop market is still so strong. But in Japan, bands seem to be huge.
Oh, bands are the thing in Japan. Japan's all about experimentation.
Yeah.
They don't want cookie cutter. They want the rock stars to be rock stars. They want them to be individual. They want them to be unique. They
Yeah.
don't care if they're, screaming, playing a bass that's on fire because it's unique. Who cares? It's fantastic. Um and I love that about Japanese rock music. So, I mean, that's why you've got some of the best bloody bands
Yeah.
in Japan.
It's kind of back to the Rose, though. It's a little bit surprising that maybe they don't try to tour more in Japan because I mentioned in, previous episode about CN Blue and, how I was talking about their tour and it was significant that they are coming to North America this year. But when I looked at like where they tour as a pop Korean rock band, they tour heavily in Japan. They're
Yeah.
always in Japan. So I'm like, why is the Rose not heavily in Japan? I
I
just
honestly I
yeah.
don't understand it. I don't get it. If you look at European indie bands, when they go to Japan, they play like the Budokan, and they're there for like 3 days on the trot.
Yeah, and
They're
I feel
playing to
like
like 60,000 people for 3 nights.
yeah, and CN Blue is very to me, as I've been getting into their music, I mean, I feel like they're pretty similar in sound, like, very
Yeah.
more pop rock, like, they're not, like, heavy metal rock, So they
No.
have a huge following in Japan. It's like, why wouldn't the Rose try to tap into that market maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, I would
This
have
is
thought
why
so.
they need to employ us, Kelly. I think
They
they need
do.
us.
Yeah. Yes, they do. I completely agree. Because obviously doing this, my own band, my own record label,
You need
and
another
everything else,
job.
yeah, it's fine. I need another job. Yeah, that's good. I'll sort them out. Yeah, no problem with
Yeah.
that.
Well, the Rose, if you're listening, Yora Tuseo, call me. Call me. I'll be ready.
So bad.
I
So
know, I
bad. Just
know.
plug yourself there,
Well,
woman. Why
hey,
not?
shoot my shot if they ever
Shoot.
listen to this podcast.
I thought you said shoot my shit then for a minute. It says shoot my shot.
All right,
Fair
let's
enough.
let's get into our deep dive. So I thought it's a good opportunity to dig a little bit into your experience at Rabbit to the Moon Festival. Why don't you start by just like breaking down a little bit to the listeners about this festival?
So, Rabbit to the Moon Festival was held on February the 22nd at the Impact Arena in Bangkok. Now, as I've already mentioned, there was issues to start with. So, originally it was in one of the halls that forms part of the exhibition centre. It's a fantastic centre just on the outskirts of Bangkok, and it is set up so well for music. You literally have an outdoor venue, you've got all these exhibition halls, and then you've got the forum, which I think was where it was originally. I think it was meant to be at the forum originally. And then you've got the arena. Honestly, can't fault it. It's a fantastic setup. It reminds me very much of the NEC, but it's a lot prettier. This is the first K-pop festival that they've actually done there. But weirdly enough, there were other K-pop acts on the same weekend. It's like, this is a bit
Yeah,
strange.
this is weird. Like there was actually a lot of competitions. You had the festival that DPR Ian was
Yes.
doing, and then NCT 127, a pretty big K-pop group, also
And
had a concert that
Yeah,
weekend.
and NCT were literally, they were one side of the exhibition
Oh, they
sort
were
of
at the
block.
same venue.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
obviously Rabbit to the Moon was at the other side. So weirdly
There
enough,
was
it's just like you've got one wave walking one way and another wave walking the other. It was so
Yeah, so it
strange.
was very weird. It's like a lot of competition for kind of a
Yeah.
similar audience to go to these 3
Yeah.
major concerts the same night.
Exactly, and I'm kind of surprised that they were all as full as they were, because I was
Mm.
expecting one of them to sort of plummet because of everybody else that was sort of there and involved. As I said, this is a K-pop event, and you've got 6 Korean artists performing, and obviously the Rose playing slap bang in the middle of it. They were a little bit of a weird mix in the middle of it, but I'll get
Yeah.
into that in a bit.
Yeah, I
Um,
would agree with that. They felt like they didn't quite fit with the other artists, but yeah, we can talk about that more in a moment.
The capacity is 12,000, and to be perfectly honest, when I first went in, I took a photograph, didn't I? I actually sent it to you.
Mm.
I was like, "Oh shit, there's nobody." It looked really empty. But actually by the time the guys were on, I would dare to say we're looking at sort of like 10,500 capacity.
That's great
So
then. Good.
it wasn't a sellout, but it was almost a sellout. So
Mhm.
it was a good level. The actual festival itself, the organisation, some bits of it was a little bit, to put it politely.
Mm.
When we got there, we picked up our tickets. That was easy enough. We sort of met people, had a mill around, got the lay of the land type of thing. They did this very strange thing of, if you'd bought VIP, there was sort of like a sound check, but it was only a sound check with one of the first K-pop acts that was on. And then you got things like posters and a t-shirt and bits and pieces like that with it as
Mm.
well. But they also did giveaways which were based on your ticket number. Don't think it went down as well as it should have. It confused a lot of people. So the lot that I were with, we kind of wandered around and it was like, oh my god, there's not many black roses here. It's just like, we're gonna have to be really, really, really loud. It was like, you spot anybody that got like a rose cap on or anything, it was like, quick, go and get them. But it was lovely, and everybody was so gorgeous, and we just sort of sat around and nattered for ages. Then we queued up to go in as per the time allotment that we were told. Got in the queue, and everybody that was in that queue with a ticket got turned away and told to go and
What?
queue at the other side of the arena to collect a wristband.
Gosh.
Now, this goes back to the fact of my old job working front of house. Part of my job was running the box office. I'm a really patient person, but my level of mercury in my head was going,
Wow.
what the hell is this? And it was terrible. I mean, literally, 101 is you hand out your tickets, and at the same time, if you've got a wristband to go, it goes in an envelope. You hand them both over at the same time. You don't tell somebody afterwards, once they've queued, that they've got to go to the other side of the arena to queue again to get a
Wow.
wristband put on them. And they hadn't got them in order either, because they got the ticket number had got to match the wristband. There were some very, very angry people
Wow.
stood in that queue. Yeah, that bit was pandemonium, and a lot of people were really pissed off.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, come on, people, we can do better than this. Just a little bit of common sense. But it's the first time they've done it, and I'm kind of hoping that if they do the festival again, they will learn from those. They're going to have a lessons learned, basically.
Yeah,
And
for
it's going to be a good
sure.
lessons
Wow.
learned. My only other concern while we were actually in the gig, and this was the guys were playing, one of the girls who was in front of us had been, bear in mind, this is Bangkok. It's warm. There might be air
Yeah.
conditioning and everything else, but it's warm. And people were queuing from sort of like midday to get in, or
Mm.
milling around. A lot didn't drink enough or eat
Mhm.
enough. And one of the girls in front of us passed out.
Right.
I'm used to gigs. I mean, anybody who's been to a gig knows that somebody passes out, you get the attention of security at the front,
Right.
and they're meant to come and help. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I nearly got to the point where I was contemplating actually jumping over the barrier. It
Wow.
literally took forever to get the attention of the guy, and then he pottered over, and we were like, she needs water because she's obviously blacked out because she's not had enough. We managed to get her
Right.
round, and it was just like, she needs water. We don't have water. Sorry?
What?
I'm sorry. This is Bangkok. It's warm. It's a
And
gig,
at a music
and
festival.
you do not have water available. It's like, "Oh, well, we'll carry her out and take her to first aid."
Oh,
No,
wow.
she just needs water.
I
Thank
can remember at the New York Before We Die tour, I was so impressed with the security at that venue because they were readily, constantly
Oh
passing
god.
water bottles
Yeah.
out, saying, "Here, just take water, pass it back." And we
Yeah.
would in the front, because I was second to barricade, we would just keep passing it back.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah,
And that's
that
what you're
was
used
super
to. I mean,
impressive.
in the
Where
UK,
do you remember
it's
his LA show?
yeah, how
People
many
were
passed out
passing
there?
out left and right. I think there were, like,
Yeah.
6 or 7 instances during that
Oh, I
show.
think there was about 3 near us, and all I was going through in my head is like, "Is this the first gig you've ever been to?"
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't good, but some absolute angel in the audience had got half a bottle of water with them.
Yeah.
So we managed to get her water, we managed to get her comfortable and basically bring her
Yeah.
round. But
Well,
yeah,
that's terrible. Yeah, so there's some things
I wasn't
that
impressed.
that festival and the wherever they hold it and the staff that they have definitely need to kinda learn their lessons.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's just 101. Just you're
Yeah.
there because he was too busy watching the rows. I know they were putting on a good show,
Like,
but the
dude,
reason you're there is you're
we're
meant
here
to
to
watch
watch
the
the act.
audience. He was too busy watching what the
Like,
guys were doing.
no.
I was
Did
like,
you, like,
seriously,
karaoke
mate.
back to me while it was going on?
And I'm literally leaning over the barrier, waving at this bloke, and I was like, oh fuck's sake. And that
Yeah,
was the point where I was just like, it's a while since I've jumped over a barrier. Can I still
yeah,
do
you're like,
it?
"Oh gosh."
Oh god, I was sort of like thinking, I think I can carry her. I know I can carry her if I need to.
Oh, that's terrible. Well,
Oh, but
it's funny
anyway, that
because
was the negative of the festival.
yeah, yeah. I feel like we
But
have to eat our words, Kelly. I don't know if I'm gonna say this must be what Sammy felt like when he had to come on Rosarium and say, "I lied, it's not coming out in February," because I'm sure us saying that we thought the guys would preview a song and they would totally do a different set list than Coachella because they would wanna.
hey, hold on. What did I say afterwards, though? I did actually say, or they'll just end up playing Coachella set.
I feel like I listened to the last pod as an episode, and I literally say, "I might have to eat these words." So, I
There you
guess,
go.
Sammy, I know how a little bit how you feel, but I'm eating these words because I was totally
Here's
wrong.
your humble pie.
Here's my humble pie. The set list was literally almost exactly the same. So I
Yeah,
looked up Coachella's set list and I looked up this one. So they did Eclipse, then Shift, Lifeline Red, Back to Me, Definition of Ugly is Alive. Instead of Cure, this set they did Yes, and they did Cosmo and Sour, and then just didn't end with Wonder. So
yeah,
it was literally almost the same. I was so shocked they did not switch it up at all.
yeah. I'm not. I'm not surprised at
I
all.
really was
Um,
thinking that they were gonna preview something, which just, like, keeps me going back to, like, do they just really not have anything ready?
they've got shit ready.
But they're just not ready to start promoting, like, which makes me
The thing,
think.
this is a conversation we're currently having because we're like, right, we need to start doing rehearsals because we need to get our ass out on tour to
Mhm.
promote what we're doing. And the line that I was met with was, "That's okay, Kelly, but can you give me a few weeks so I can actually learn what what we've recorded?"
Well, yeah, I mean, funny is like, we'll talk about this, I think, when we get into like the performances, but even Sammy struggled a little bit with remembering the chords to Back to Me. So,
But then
like,
again, Sammy frequently does. God bless his little cotton socks.
his little Crocs, like, I.
Leave the Crocs alone. We do not mention the C word.
My listeners, I can admit when I was wrong. I was totally wrong. I really thought that they would preview something and we got almost the exact same set list. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Very quickly, I'm just going to mention the other acts. So there's always something in an act that I can take and go, actually, no, they were very, very good. I think I might have seen the worst act I've ever seen now.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first K-pop group that were on.
Mm.
It was awkward. It was really, really, really awkward. It was very painful. It was mimed. It was lip synced badly. They just honestly looked like they were struggling. They didn't enjoy what they were doing. There was sheer look of panic on faces of the girls that were doing it. And I sort of stood there thinking, I can't really watch these because it's making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was like that secondhand embarrassment. Like, it's, like,
Yeah, I mean,
painful, right?
it did get better as it evolved. I'm not really a sort of pop group person. I can
Mhm.
appreciate good pop. Good pop is a different thing entirely.
Yeah, like,
But
there's some stellar, K-pop idol groups, but I guess
mm,
there's bad ones too.
these just
Sounds like.
weren't them.
Yeah, I did not know. I knew the name Kepler, but, like, I don't really know their music. Um,
I felt sorry for them.
and I'd
They
heard
felt
of the 2.
underprepared for me.
Yeah, I heard of the 2 artists that came on after the Rose that were the, like, top headliners.
Yeah,
They were
Zico
solo artists.
and
Um,
and the guy from EXO.
so is it Baekhyun? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it,
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah, the run up beforehand, there was the boy band called POW.
How that's what I said,
Um,
like, every artist was either a kind of idol pop group or a solo artist that kinda still had that vibe. It just felt like the Rose felt very out of place. It was like one of these things is not like the other.
yeah, but I tell you something, one of these things is not like the other, but by God, it worked to their effect.
Tell me what you
It took
mean.
so it took some doing, but by God, they won that audience around.
Yeah.
The audience to start with were a little frigid. I'm not one for screaming and shouting at a gig, but I was just like, God, it's dead in here. I'm gonna have to start shouting. Normally just sing along, but I was just like,
funny.
yes.
It's funny you say that because I wanted to ask you kind of what the vibe was. When you watch fan cams, it's kind of hard to get a sense because naturally phones nowadays are taking out the background noise so you can hear,
Yeah,
the artist. So a lot of times in a fan cam you can't quite hear the audience. So I've watched all the fan cams in order so I can mimic the show.
yeah.
You can tell the energy of the audience was
Oh,
so
it builds. It builds.
it
But
built
the
up, and then
reason,
I felt like I told you that we'll get to it a little later about his mints or his waffle time. I felt like he commented a little bit about that, which in my opinion came off quite a little bit awkward, but we'll talk about that maybe a little bit more. Yeah, so for you there, you felt like they had to really win that audience over. So
they
it was
and they won them over. They definitely left that stage with a bigger audience than when they arrived. The guys know how to work a crowd. They know how
oh,
to work a
yeah,
stage. I'd watched 2 acts that literally used the center of the stage and then kind of did the walkway because there was a huge T-shaped walkway
correct, yeah.
that perforated the entire floor of the auditorium. And Kepler didn't use it at all. Pow didn't use it until they walked to the end and then finally decided they were going to stop lip syncing and actually sing. But they
Mm,
didn't a cappella bit. They only actually sang when they weren't dancing, and then they went back to dancing again. And then we'd got Bad Villian, who, again, it's that type of K-pop thing, but they did have energy and they used the stage a lot
mhm,
more, so you could tell that they had got more about them.
mhm.
Again, it didn't really do that much for me. I could appreciate the athleticism of what they were doing, but that was kind of it.
To
There was
say
there was too much lip syncing for me. It's like, I'm at a live gig, I wanna see you sing.
Yeah, the T stage that you talked about, I kinda wanted to talk on that because when you think about a band, it wasn't ideal for them because here they are mostly stationary playing their instruments, but they use that T stage to their advantage through a lot of songs. So Sammy was out there
Oh,
during
they
Red.
they
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 were out
worked
there.
it.
Yeah,
They
they
worked it.
worked it. They were out there during Yes, they were out there during Cosmo, Back to Me for the end of
Yeah.
it. I mean, they worked that stage to their
Oh,
advantage.
they did. And
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest, every time a cannon went off or a flamethrower went off, you could see them going, "I wish we'd got the budget to have this many cannons go off."
Yeah.
Yeah, you and this may I just point out the stage was spectacular. It went the entire width of the arena and it was a wrap round LED screen. So some
Nice.
from the fan cams you probably can't see it, but it was a full wrap round and
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
spectacular to see that. You don't tend to see that outside of outdoor
Yeah.
festivals.
Yeah, that's great. I
Um
could tell the
yeah.
LED screens were massive, but I couldn't quite
Oh,
tell that it was like
huge.
a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
wraparound. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's so
So,
cool.
and one of the things I want to say is I just want to give a shout out to the sound engineers and the stage techs that the guys use.
Mm.
They got them on stage set up within about 12 minutes.
Wow, 12 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, when you play a
Wow.
festival, you tend to have all the gear set up on
You
runners
roll it
anyway.
in, right?
And you roll it in, but you still need to connect everything. You still need to
Sure.
make sure that everything's working, that it's connecting to the front of house, that it's connecting to the monitor mix at the side of the stage. About 12 minutes, and I was gobsmacked. It was just like, so well done, guys. Well
Yeah,
done.
well
That was
done.
really, really good. Because obviously everybody else is lip syncing, so you don't need to do anything for the stage.
Yeah.
They were so good, and they just came across as such seasoned musicians as well.
Yeah, I think they sounded phenomenal. I think that, like we said, like,
Mhm.
okay, you can
Mhm.
tell. You said you could tell that they were
I can tell.
all suffering from colds or kind of
Yeah, yeah. I can tell in the voice, but I think that's because I hear it myself when I sing and I've got a
yeah.
cold. Dojun, bless him, he was struggling, and I think that's probably the reason they didn't do Wonder because it's really
Mm.
high.
Mm.
And you could tell there was a certain amount of nasal resonance within him. Sammy kind of struggled a little bit. He was a bit strained at the beginning of Definition of Ugly Is. He normally isn't, but you could hear the strain in it. But I mean, it was obvious from the advertisement video that they did. They all look sick, bless them. They all look
Yeah.
real, and it's like, oh, you lot need to be in bed. You need a
Yeah.
lentil chicken soup. Just go.
Like, for
Why are you doing
you,
this?
you can definitely tell. Obviously, you're a professional
Yeah,
musician. You have a better ear. I, as just a listener, like, I thought they sounded good. I think that we've talked about Sammy struggling with singing Red anymore, and I think he could not hit those notes in Red, and I think just at this
yeah,
point, he just leans into that backtrack, and he just doesn't. He pulls the mic away from his mouth when he has to go, like, real high on Reg. Not as obvious, he can't hit those notes, but I think that's
yeah.
just how he performs Red anymore, personally. I don't.
I think it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we had
it is.
that conversation, I think, in episode 1, kind of about some of
Yeah.
his voice struggles now, but other than that, I thought they sounded good.
Oh,
Um,
I'm not saying they didn't sound good. They
yeah.
sounded great, but to me, I knew
Yeah.
they were all suffering, especially Dojan and Sammy.
Well, back to
Yeah.
kind of the men's. So I mentioned that, like, I feel like sometimes Sammy gets kind of awkward, and I felt like his men's were a slightly awkward in this one, especially
Yeah,
when.
but they weren't scripted.
Well, yeah, that's true, because he did say, like, he said in his first one, he's like, "I'm almost disappointed at the beginning because I thought the crowd wasn't enjoying, like, you guys weren't enjoying yourself." And I thought that was a little bit, like, ballsy that
Oh,
he just,
no.
like,
Oh,
came
no,
out.
that's what you do. Oh, no, 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 darling, that's what you do. You antagonize the audience until they have fun.
But I was like, I thought it was funny because I always feel like Dojun, when Sammy says something, like, slightly off kilter or slightly awkward, it's like Dojun always, like, kinda comes in behind him, and he was like, "Oh, well, probably," because he was like,
Like the
"Oh, does
fussy
everybody
one that
know us? Like, who knows us here?" So, you could kinda tell from the screams that probably a lot of the audience maybe wasn't as, familiar with who they were.
yeah,
So, I think just kind of hearing you say, and that, like, I could kind of pick up by the end that the audience really got won over by them. I think, like,
yeah, they
kudos to
did.
Rose, like, right? Like, that just goes to show their musicianship, and,
I
that
was
they
very
can win over
proud of
that
them.
crowd.
I think they played an awkward festival, and I think they did really well.
I thought in watching the fan cams that they sounded great, they looked great. I think the other awkward meant was, more towards the end when Sammy admitted it's been almost a year since they performed, and that he was out of shape and tired.
He was, bless
No, bless his heart, like, and Dojun's like, but he comes over, but very, very, very happy.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm so happy because we're here.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
It
so
was no, it was. I mean, you call it awkward, and this right. Maybe just point this out. This is probably the only time you're going to hear me say this. I found it cute awkward.
Oh, look at you, Kelly.
I found it cute awkward. But
Aw.
there you go. There
Well,
you go.
I think he's always cute.
Nice it is out of the way.
He's always cute
Moving
awkward, but
swiftly on. Yeah, but he is for you, isn't he?
he is to me. Yeah, yeah.
He is for you. He is for you. Um, but
I have
no, I
to
think
laugh,
they did exceptionally well.
except for Sammy
I
forgetting the opening chord to Back to Me. What was that about?
you right now. A couple of people have said it's like, how can you forget it so easily? Worst thing is sometimes it can be something really simple, like you'll pick your guitar up and you've picked it up wrong, and you're just like, oh, my finger goes there, and you're like, oh no, that's the wrong bar chord.
It was so funny.
um,
I
and it
almost
just
thought
throws you.
it was like, is he kidding? Like, is he
No, he wasn't.
it really
He
wasn't, like, I
wasn't.
think he just had, like, his
He
brain
wasn't
fart,
at
where
all.
it's like his brain was just like, I don't forget what
Oh,
this chord is."
he did have several brain farts during which I know it's just like, oh, bless you.
Oh, I thought that was
It's been a while.
my other favorite part was in Cosmo. So that's like towards the end. I think their
Yeah.
energy was really high. They had won over the audience by that point. And he
Yes.
did his iconic kick that he does during Face. Did you see that? Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I was like, go Sammy with the kick. I love that.
He
This
does. No,
Uso
he does that, and I can't remember where he did it. It was in Asia somewhere. I want to say it was Manila, and he split his trousers.
kick. I could see that because he like when he does it in Face, he always stoops down and then he does the kick.
He
It's
did
like in
it.
this one particular part.
Those striped trousers went. Zip.
Oh, that's hysterical. I could see that. Yeah.
um, but no, honestly, it was an enjoyable gig, and to me they saved the festival.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem like they
I
did
really
you
think they
stay for
did.
the other groups after them or did you just leave?
We left. There
Yeah.
you go. Went
I
all the
I wouldn't have
way,
stayed.
all the way to bloody Bangkok for 40 minutes.
That's what I said, yeah.
Literally, the only time the guys got booed was when they said, "This is our last track," and everyone was like, "Boo!"
No.
I think that threw them a little bit actually, because I don't think they were expecting it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I have listeners, I literally wrote for Kelly in the notes, give Anne her Kim Delulu moment to waffle on about how good they all looked. That's literally
Go
what I
for it,
wrote.
girl. Go
I
for
have to
it.
waffle on because give me my waffle time. They looked fucking incredible. Every last one of them. Roy back. Kudos to you. Hats off on your styling. This whole 90s look he went with, I was digging it.
I'm a big fan of grunge. You've seen the way I dress.
I was digging it. I want to break down everybody's outfit. So let's start with Woo-sung. He had this red and black like striped sweater that was kind of sheer with a
Yeah,
black.
well, we're gonna have words about this because I've got that jumper.
You're twinsies, we found out. You have this sweater? Are you
I've got
twinsies with
that
Sammy?
sweater. I've got that sweater. I posted a video of me in the studio from before Rabbit to the Moon, and I've got the black and white version on.
I love it. It's very Kurt Cobain. Like I
Oh
saw
yeah,
a Black Rose that posted a picture, and I think Roy Back actually liked her post
yeah,
or
he
something
did.
like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
which is so cool. But he had these baggy black jeans that I said to you, like they had this interesting detail where it looked like there were two pairs of pants, but it was
I
like
noticed
two.
you managed to spot the waistband. Obviously,
Oh, I zoomed in, girl. I was like,
of course you fucking did.
and he had my favorite hair where it's all slicked back so you get full forehead on display.
I prefer the longer hair.
I know you do. Shout out to Monica. She likes his long hair when it's like kind of curly down in his eyes. Girl, give me the forehead. Give me it
Oh
all
no,
slicked back.
no, no, no! I'm on about. I think it really suits him when his hair's just longer.
Oh, when
Full
his hair's
stop.
longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And he had, you know what though? His shoes might have been those shoes in the Paris show. They were very
I
clunky black boots that I was like, these kind of look like the awful shoes he wore at the Paris show. But you couldn't tell
well, we
because
don't
his jeans
mention
were very
Paris.
baggy.
We don't
Yeah.
mention Paris.
But something about Kim Woo Sung in Red, he pulls off Red really well.
Oh no, it's his color. It's
It is
definitely his
his color. So then moving on to Jaehyun. Wow. He looked phenomenal too. He had these
I think most of the arena thought he looked phenomenal, judging by the screaming.
oh my gosh, he had these baggy jeans and this white t-shirt with sleeveless so his arms were exposed and again like flannel tied around, very 90s grunge. He looked incredible. Incredible. I loved that look on him.
It's a good look.
Dojun, who looked like
Yeah.
your husband or boyfriend's gonna go pick up the kids from soccer.
That's what I actually messaged you, wasn't it? It's like, why does Dojan look like he's going to go and pick the kids up from soccer? Now, the fact that I actually said soccer worries me, because normally it'd be football. So why I said soccer, I don't know.
I
But
don't
that's
know,
why I actually
but
messaged you.
his whole, like, baseball cap, kind of brown bomber jacket, just plain white tee and jeans. I was digging that.
Yeah, but
boyfriend look,
Sam,
you know,
yeah, I mean,
comfy.
Sammy referred to it as the "I don't give a shit" vibe.
I don't give a shit vibe, which, like, I wasn't seeing that. I was like, he just looks like your boyfriend or your husband vibe, like dad vibes. I'm like, I'm
No, I mean,
not.
I'm with Sammy on that. It did look very much like the "I don't give a shit" vibe.
Doja looked like the outfit he'd wear to the airport. I'm like, is this airport fashion or are
It
you coming on
was.
stage? Like, what's
I did
happening here?
I did wonder if his suitcase hadn't turned up.
But I think fans went nuts over him. He looked incredible too. Like, he just looked cute.
Of course they did.
I mean,
Course
I
they
said to
did.
you, maybe it was that I was so thirsty because the drought has been so long, but I just thought all 4 of them looked incredible.
Yeah,
And
well, you're just thirsty for
I
a
mean,
stop, aren't you?
last but not least,
Go for it.
my Ha-Jun with the guns. Put the guns away. For the kids' sake, Ha-Jun, put the guns away.
Yeah, the audience went a little loud when that camera swooped over to him, and it was just like, okay.
I mean,
I
I
don't know whether it's the arms or the dimples that's doing it.
oh, I should be able to fangirl because Sammy fangirled over all of them in his
He did.
head.
He did.
So if he gets
Which
to
was very
fangirl, I
sweet.
get to fangirl too.
Yeah, well, you always fangirl.
I know, but, you know, it's deserving. Ha-Jun looked incredible. He really did.
They honestly, they all looked very good. Still not 100% sure about Soccer Dad Chic.
Soccer dad?
Gen-
Is that what we're going? Is that what we're calling it? I
It's
don't
Soccer
know.
Dad Chic.
We are the Rose. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you. Over here sitting down, one of the sexiest drummers alive. His name is Ha-Jun. Over here with the milky skin and the handsome face and the big guitar is our bassist, John. Hello! And over here in his own room has many instruments, meaning he is very multi-talented. Very handsome with the cap, I don't give a shit vibe today. This is Doja, nice to meet you guys. What's up? My name is Wilson. Hello.
I said in my last like Instagram story I put up just recently, I was like, I think because I got super into Dojun's, I called it the sexy accountant look. His whole look he wore
Oh
on
yeah.
tour
Oh yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
funny,
yeah.
which I thought was
Maths teacher was how I refer to it as.
yeah, it was pretty sexy. And I'm like, I don't know. I think this could be outdoing it for me. This whole like dad, boyfriend, like dropping the kids off at football, like
We've already decided that you're weird.
I'm already weird. Let me travel you. Remember that?
Yeah, you are weird, girl.
I
You
get
are
Dojun to say, let me
weird.
travel you while he's wearing a baseball cap and getting in his minivan.
This is the moment in time that I am so glad that people can't see the expression that I'm pulling. So when we record this podcast, by the way, we do actually have our cameras on so we can see each other. And it does record, but we made a conscious decision that, do you know what, we're just going to stick with the voices. Nobody needs to see our faces. There's a good reason for that, because I spend most of it gurning.
Oh my God.
Faces and things that Anne comes out with.
No, that crazy shit I say. I was like,
The crazy shit, and I'll just be sat there going, "What?"
you're just like, what is wrong with you? But let me tell you, the camera
Wrong,
person,
woman.
hats off to that camera person. They knew their assignment. When they put Jae Hyun on
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
screen and Hajun, and like you said, the crowd went wild. I love when Sammy was like, "Go, go,
Yeah,
cameraman, put
no,
Leo."
no, Leo,
It's
Leo,
Leo. He's like, "No, wait, not me, not
not
me."
me, Leo.
And it gave us Leo his smile, and then he did that iconic hand point that I feel like fans
Yeah.
put that all around social media. That was such a great, like, screenshot. That's what I
Yes.
think I put out on our Instagram. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stop with my
Yeah.
waffling on. So we did ask some of our followers on Instagram with any questions if you guys were interested in knowing some things about the performance. So I want to share a really interesting question from Mickey K. They say, I was curious about the general use of backing tracks at their concerts. They have amazing voices live. So I was wondering what the purpose and how are the live vocals affected by backing tracks. So this is kind of an interesting thing to talk about, not just of maybe this performance, but just kind of in general,
In
your
general,
experience as a musician of how musicians use backing tracks in live performances.
playback backing tracks are used. So when you listen to a recording, I think most people think, well, there's a guitar on there, there's a bass on there, there's, a piano, and there's four people singing, and that's all they hear. There isn't. Most of the recordings and stems that go to produce a actual single or any recording as such, generally speaking, you're probably looking anywhere between 30 to 120 channels. That's how many sounds are independently played to create that sound. So if you then take that's what it sounds like recorded, and then you just play guitar, bass, drums, piano, and you've got your four people singing, it will sound very empty. There will be no fullness. Most pieces of music these days have synths, they have strings, they have multiple layers of harmonies with vocals. Unless you are taking a philharmonic orchestra with you and a choir, you're never going to be able to recreate what is actually recorded. Nearly all artists, and I would dare to say 75-80% of artists who are performing at that level all use a level of playback. They will trigger those sounds on stage to actually create that swell of sound that you expect to hear. That is why when you go and see a band play in a local pub, it sounds very different to when you hear a band play an arena.
Mm-hmm.
That additional sound is added to create the fullness, to create the spectacle of it. We use playback in ours because we can't afford to take 15 other people on tour with us, and that's what you would need to do to recreate those sounds. I mean, vocal wise, tracking wise, when you listen to a recording, you think there's one voice. There isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that one voice is generally made up of three voices. So you'll have your central voice and then you'll have it panned left and right. And that just creates that big wall of sound. So you will see, as you were discussing earlier on with Sammy when he's singing Red and he pulls the microphone away from his face on the higher notes, he is allowing the backing track to fill that gap in because he can't hit them anymore. He's
Yeah.
allowing it to fill that gap.
Yeah, and when I was watching the fan cam of Red, I think that there is one moment where the backing track is particularly loud compared to the other parts in the song, and it's when
Mm,
at the very end of that song when he would hit an extremely high note, like a
yeah.
power note. And in the performance, I feel like you can so tell then because he actually decides instead of singing with the backing track, he decided to say something in words. Like I think he's like, whether he goes, let's go, or it's like
Yeah.
sometimes we'll insert those like whoop whoop, in that song.
Yeah.
And it became, I think, more obvious to
Yeah.
people that there was a backing track. But I think what I had some people come into our Instagram feed in our DMs and kind of give some comments about like the backing track in a very negative way. And what I want to I think what I'm hearing you say and what I want fans that maybe aren't as musically knowledgeable to understand, a backing track is not lip syncing.
No, There's a
Like, I
huge
think there's this
difference.
yeah, I think there's this kind of misconception that was like when they maybe heard that, it was like, "Oh my god, are they lip syncing? Is Sammy lip
N
syncing?" Like, no, no,
I
no, no,
can
no.
I can honestly and truthfully say they were not lip syncing
Yeah.
because there were notes that slipped.
Mhm.
There were notes that slipped, which is why I know neither of them are very well,
Yeah. Yeah.
because their notes they normally hit perfectly.
Yeah.
That's when you know somebody's not very well. So playback is there to create a fullness of sound. It's to support the sound because you physically can't take that many people on tour with you
Mhm.
to do it. The only time that you won't see playback is if you are playing at the Royal Albert Hall with the Philharmonic Orchestra during the prom season. And you don't need it because you have a bank of 20 violinists. You have a percussion section. If you've not just got a drummer, I mean, if you're going to moan about the whole concept of playback, then this is the part when you need to start pulling to pieces the fact that Hajun uses a Roland or an Alessi pad, which is a trigger pad that he uses to create different drum sounds because he
Mhm.
can't get those drum sounds out of his kit. Or, Dojun, and he's using keyboards, but
Right.
he's using a keyboard to trigger string sounds.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's all the same thing. And they weren't cheating, they were creating a bigger sound by doing it. Personally, for me, I know that I will have backing tracks used and they will be triggered while we're performing live because my guys don't sing backup.
Mm.
I can't sing my own backup.
Right.
There's certain songs where it's recorded and it's recorded. I've got the bass level of the actual harmony, and then I go in and I do an octave higher with a run in it. I naturally go to sing the octave higher and the run, but if you listen to it, you're expecting that level underneath, and that's what the guys are doing. That's what playback is for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lip syncing, different thing entirely. Lip syncing is quite literally the music, and then you will have a bolstered piece of music, which is the vocal stems, which is pushed above the music. So it makes it sound as though it is live. It's not just played in the music, it's bolstered above the music.
Mhm.
It's not there as a sort of cushion as such.
Right.
And then you get K-pop bands that don't know how to lip sync, and it's very obvious that they don't know how to lip sync.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
won't mention that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other times I think in the performance, if we just pick like this one as an example, where it's very obvious their mics are on. You know, he's talking, he's ad-libbing, so it's very obvious he's not lip syncing. That there's just
Oh,
simply
I mean,
background
at
track
what?
that fills in the more robustness of the vocals, like you're saying.
I mean, at one point you could hear him sniffling, and
Yeah, so
it's
I
like,
think that was a great question. Thank you, Mickey K. I think it was a good thing for us to talk about because I do think for some fans it kind of can be a misconception and maybe a
yeah.
not understanding how artists use that playback. The next question was from Sumuski. Okay, I butcher these usernames. I apologize, listeners. How many Black Roses attended, or just number of people at the show? So we kind of talked that the capacity was about 12,000 in the venue. You were getting a sense maybe about 10,000 attended, but
Ten and a
Black
half
Roses.
thousand.
Like, you think what percentage of that audience were already fans maybe?
Couldn't tell you because we were walking around like going, it's like they're a Black Rose, they're a Black Rose, and may I just say, anybody that's listening that went, Black roses are the most beautiful, beautiful creatures on the planet. They will sort you out as soon as they see you, and they're like, "Come here, come here." They desperately just want to talk to you and get to know you.
Yeah.
And the amount of gifts,
Oh,
honestly, I think
freebies.
my yeah, all the little freebies, and I came back and I'd literally like my back was full of bits and pieces that are the most beautiful little treasured gifts. And I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you to all the ladies that sort of did all of those beautiful things and handed them out. You are gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous human beings. Um, I think before the show we'd sort of like spoken to about 30 or
Mhm.
so. But you've got to bear in mind most people don't turn up at doors opening
Right,
to
right.
go and see a show. people are working, they'll turn up later on, especially if you're in seats because you know your seat's taken, whereas we were stood. And I'm so glad we were stood, and I'm so glad we didn't have VIP, because VIP was seated at the back of the arena at the end of the actual T walkway.
Yeah, it was really disappointing, I think, that I feel like they gave, at least for the row. Well, I mean, you said the other groups maybe didn't even use that T walkway
Not really.
much,
Not
but
really.
I mean, you got excellent vantage point.
Oh yeah. Very good
Yeah,
vantage
from
point.
where you
You would have been exceptionally happy with where I was stood, because I was right in front of a little drummer.
My goodness, and then how he looked. Okay, I won't go back there. Don't take me back there, Kelly. Don't take me back.
I
All
did
right,
send you some very good photos though, didn't I?
you did. You got some great photos. Meowlin88 said, "Did they tease any new material?" We said this at the beginning. I had
They
to eat my words,
didn't.
but they didn't.
They didn't. Which is a shame, but saying that, I think they may not have had the audience to do it. So in one
Yeah. I mean,
aspect,
that's a good point. So, like, if you are gonna tease material, you probably wanna do it where you feel like a bigger percentage
you
of your
want
fans are there.
yeah, you want your core captive audience there.
Yeah.
And they got core audience, obviously, but it wasn't, they were winning an audience over.
Yeah, they were winning an audience over. So if anything,
Or
they
should or
hopefully
should or should I say flirting their way through to winning an audience over, because
yeah,
there was
for
a hell of a lot of
sure.
flirting happening.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, you gotta flaunt it, man. I mean, hopefully they came away with more fans than they had when they walked
Oh
the fence.
God, definitely.
And that's
Oh,
the
definitely,
goal,
without
I
a
think,
shadow
a
of a
lot of
doubt. Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, that's the whole reason you play festivals. It's not to upset the core audience, but you aren't the reason that they're playing. They're there to expand their
Right.
audience repertoire. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can totally see that because there are fans of all of those groups that came, and so you hope that you can kind of get some fans from those other groups that are willing to listen now to your music after hearing you, for sure. Well,
Yeah,
the last question that
definitely.
came in, Agata.not.Christy. How did it feel to perform again? Which I thought was kind of a funny question. I mean, maybe you answer it of how did it feel like seeing them perform again after
Oh
so
God,
long?
you could tell that they were loving it.
Yeah.
They were so in their element. You can't fake that level of enthusiasm to be on stage.
Yeah.
I don't care how good an actor you are and how many acting lessons you've had, you cannot fake that level of joy. You could see the joy on all of their faces while they were there and they were playing. That just oozed into the audience, and it was so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And you can tell they're missing it. You can
Ah,
tell they are missing being out there on stage. Any musician will tell you the only reason that you, generally speaking, create music is because you create it to go out on stage, perform it, and connect with your audience. That's why you do it.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I know. Again, we don't know if they'll have anything else for a while. Like the next thing we know is not until August. So for them, they're going to have a while before maybe they'll be able to get out there in front audience.
I can get 'em some support, I can get them some festival spots if we need festival spots.
I know, right? Like I hope
I
so.
know people.
Oh, yeah. Y'all like to say, "Oh, call us the Rose. We're here."
Yeah, weirdly enough, I've worked in this industry for a while.
Oh, well, thank you, Kelly, for that part of our deep dive. So, I was gonna do this humor segment, maybe the last episode, and I moved it, and I tricked you because I didn't tell you I moved it. So I did tell the listeners we would do it at some point. So here's today's. Unfortunately, it might be the lesser. I was trying not to do the lesser of two evils all the time, but I think this is probably the lesser of two evils. So today's Would You Rather, Kelly, is we've already said Sammy is a crime of fashion. So Sammy is your stylist for an important event. Okay, you have to look good. You need to look your best, and he's styling you based on his own
Mhm,
personal style, which
mhm.
he has dubbed himself hobo chic. and how he styled on his solo tours, which let's think of Paris.
My current style, like personal life, is like hobo look. No, honestly, like ripped up everything, kind of like baggy, yeah, like kind of grungy flow, yeah.
Let's go with Paris.
We don't talk about Paris.
Let's go with Paris.
Please don't, but please don't make me talk about Paris.
Before we die tour, okay? That's where his inspiration's gonna come from. Or Jaehyun is your personal trainer, and he has a session with you in which you exercise so hard, you're gonna throw up. It's like all day. Like he's just gonna kill you. So what are you gonna pick?
And I get to choose one of those two, do I?
Yeah. See how my last one was so much better? I told you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Sammy. Sammy's style choices
are Crocs.
How do we describe?
Let's go through what he might put you in. He might put you in Crocs.
So if anybody ever I will warn you now. I was one of those children. I am one of those adults. If you try and put me in something that I do not want to wear, I will have a fucking paddy fit.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go through what else he likes in his personal style. Sweatpants.
Oh God, I hate sweatpants.
He loves sweatpants. What else does he love? Let's see. He's just like he came to the New York Wolfpack dinner in what he would wear. I think actually he literally wore that outfit to the airport the next day. He stood up in front of us, and shout out to all the Black Roses that were there. We were dressed really nicely. I mean, there were some Black Roses that wore gowns. I'm not lying. Like a gown. He stood up in front of us and said, "Shit, I think I'm underdressed."
No shit, Sherlock.
Like, the man wore what he was wearing to the fucking airport to dinner with Black Roses. This is what you're working with here. Okay? Just reminding you.
Okay. Right. So the thing is, it's very much, you know how I said to you earlier on, when I describe myself as an individual, I'm either on or off.
Yes.
That's it. On or off. There's no middle ground with me. I'm not one of these people that lives in the grey. It's black or it's white. That's kind of me as an individual. I think Sammy's kind of the same way, especially when it comes to fashion. It either works or what the fuck is that? Now, I think one of the places I struggled with, I mean, fair enough. I'm not a fan of jogging bottoms, you know.
Oh, is that what they call it in Britain? Jogging bottoms?
Yeah, jogging bottoms. Yes, jogging bottoms. Jogging bottoms.
I think
yeah, sweatpants. I mean, the fact that they're called sweat pants.
Yeah.
Does that not put anybody off?
Yeah, and it's like, what? Yeah, I mean, a guy can probably get away with it, but it's like for girls, like sweatpants show no good features. Like,
I mean, I'm not going to say what I was going to say in reference to showing good features on guys because I'm going to incriminate myself.
Mine has been in the gutter this episode. Okay, so are you saying you're picking
anyway?
Jaehyun? Are you gonna?
I've not got there yet. So one of the worst things that I did actually witness was the fact of the Paris show.
Oh, let's break down his outfit in this Paris show, which I still think he might have worn the same shoes at Rabbit to the Moon.
So the Paris show was a pair of boots.
Okay.
That were tight fitting boots.
Can we just say, like, I think our listeners aren't understanding enough about these boots. For one, he is maybe my height. So I think Sammy's like 5'8". So he's not like super tall, but he's not like super short either. But for the size of a person he is, his feet are huge.
He is in fact Sideshow Bob.
His feet are like abnormally large for the size of a person he is. And he had these black boots on with shorts that made his feet look like they were like 10 times the size they really were.
Now the problem is I don't have an issue with shorts and boots, but the boots have to fit and form correctly to balance against the shorts.
Yeah, like his legs were
So
the tiniest little knobs because he's small, and then these feet look like it's like how does he even walk in these things?
now may I point out the jacket was
The
beautiful.
jacket
I
was
really liked it.
lovely.
The jacket was lovely. And then he had a hood which looked like, I don't know how to describe it to people, but if anybody's ever been to fashion school, you'll know exactly what I'm saying here. One of the challenges that they always give you when you do a textiles course is they will give you old textiles and they will tell you to make something new of it. It literally looked like the first year's students' attempt at recreating that. It was the hood of a hoodie and two t-shirts stitched together, so it just created a big draping hoodie scarf thing.
Like, yes, like, I was so confused at what this man was wearing. I was like, "Is he wearing a hoodie? Is he wearing a scarf?" It was so
Yeah.
bizarre.
Now, my problem is he walked out on stage, and the thought that went through my head is, oh my God, it's Christopher Robin.
Oh my god, he did look like Chris. Oh, stop it! Oh,
And then I turned
stop,
and
he did.
I looked at Par Classic, stood behind the decks and went, well, at least fucking Tigger's with him.
Oh my god, no, you're right. Christopher Robin, stop. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, Sammy. I know you were in Paris and you thought you were doing the right thing. You thought it was fashionable, my darling, but
Well,
fuck me. If you ever dress like that, they're not letting you back in.
oh god. Well, maybe it's more his stylist and it's not Roy. Roy would not let that fly.
No. Oh, dear God, no. Roy
Roy
knows how
would
to impeccably
Roy
dress
was
them all.
like, "What?"
I'm
Needed
quite
more
sure Roy was
repetition.
doing the same that I was, to be perfectly honest. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why have you done that?
Oh. So there you go. He's gonna style you all,
Okay, right,
essence
yeah.
of
And then, or Jay, and I can have a training session with Jay all day as my personal trainer.
yeah, and it's gonna be hell. Let's just say it's not enjoyable. You're gonna be throwing up in the corner. You're gonna be exercising so hard.
I do have a personal trainer, and my personal trainer is a torture
I know, you know how
implement.
they are. They're like torturists. Yes.
Oh, he is. He's a masochist. He's my PT is evil to the point. I went for my PT class on my birthday, and I went, and he went, "Do you know what, Kelly? We're going to do something special today for your birthday. We're going to get PBs." And I went, "Okay, this is great. What we're doing?" And he went, "We're going to do some lifts." I was like, "This is good. Okay, let's do some deadlifts." I got my personal best of lifting 100 kilograms.
I don't know what
That
that
was my
is.
birthday present.
I don't you know,
100
I'm
kilograms?
American. You have to convert for me.
Hold on a minute.
I
Hold
knew
on.
you'd
Let
go
me
to
have
that
a
metric
convert.
system again. I told you that in another episode.
Hold on. Americans and the inability to use what everybody else uses. 100 kilograms is 15.74 stones.
Stones? What's that? What's stones?
You,
Pounds?
you're wanting it in pounds.
Yeah, is that what
Oh,
pounds are?
Jesus Christ.
Stones?
The stones is, oh, Jesus Christ. Right, so pounds. In pounds, I lifted 220 pounds.
Whoa, 220 pounds. Wow.
220 pounds.
Oh my
I
god.
couldn't move my arms the next day, but I lifted.
Sounds like you would be fine with Jae Hyun being your personal trainer.
Right, so here we go. So my choice between the two of them, I'd let Sammy dress me.
No way.
I would. I'd actually trust him to do it.
That's hysterical. I love it. You know what? I'm gonna let him dress me too.
Mm.
Why did you do that? I feel like you were like, I'm not surprised.
Of course I'm not fucking surprised. I would very happily go to the gym with Jay. Definitely. But
I
I wouldn't see that as a form of torture.
I I I love to exercise and you know, I love to do it, but I hate somebody pushing me during exercise of like I want to be on my own terms and do my own thing, and if I want to push myself, I'm going to push myself. I hate personal trainers. I think they're torturers and I can't stand it. So I do not want Jae Hyun as my personal trainer like pushing me and
Y you
getting
see, this
no.
is where you need a really good personal trainer that uses reverse psychology on you like mine does.
Yeah, I'm just like, "No, I don't wanna do that." So, I'll trust Sammy. I'll let him, you know, put me in clunky boots and sweatpants and hobo chic, and I don't know. I'm with you. I'll trust him. I'll go out and wear a paper sack.
I'd actually trust him, and that's scary.
If it's probably him and not like we were laughing about the style, that he gets asked to wear. I mean, that's obviously not him in terms of that styling.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Paris, he'd not dressed himself. No, he'd definitely not dressed himself
Yeah.
for that one. You can tell when he dresses himself.
He's
Um,
always in something
and
comfy. I love with him,
exactly.
he said now, like, I don't know, maybe it's just like simplicity of life, he has so many things going on in his life. Probably what he wears is the last. They say like people who make so many decisions, because Steve Jobs used to say that he always wore the same thing because it was one less decision he had to make. I feel like Sammy's
Yeah,
kind of that way. Like he always jokes he has like this core set of clothes and he just wears them over and over and over again. So fans think he's
until they
always just
fall to
wearing the
bits.
same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
So, like, but the things that he has, like, they always just look so comfortable, and so, yeah, I feel like he'll do us okay. He'll be our stylist. Just don't put me in those boots or Crocs.
Oh
I
God,
might draw the line
Crocs.
at
No,
Crocs.
they're going into a chipper. They are.
Yeah. I can't do the Crocs.
No, no, I can't do the Crocs. No.
All right. Well, that was a fun Would You Rather, listeners. I can't wait to hear what you would choose. Are you going to let Sammy style you for your important event, or are you going to have the hardest exercise session of your life with Jaehyun in the gym? Tell us in the comments. We'll probably do a poll out on Instagram, so we can't wait to hear from you there. Join us next time. Our deep dive. I'm so excited about this, Kelly. We have our first interview.
We do.
And
Yeah.
if I think back to our first episode, all the way back, we were just starting and we said we would hope that someday we could get some interviews to come on the podcast and not just be you and I waffling on.
No.
And we do. We have our first interview. So, listeners, you might have noticed on Instagram, I've just started an artist spotlight series. And I've been highlighting an artist that Kelly shared with us in a couple episodes ago. His name is Francis Doom. He is a Korean American artist, and he's going to be joining us in an interview. So that is going to be our deep dive on our next episode. So really excited for that. Look out for that. Please rate our podcast. Leave us comments about this episode. We'd love to hear your feedback. Continue to email us. Thank you to all the listeners who continue to send us amazing emails. We love them so much and really appreciate it. Follow us on social media. On Instagram and X are at krock_cast.
Click here to subscribe.
We just started a TikTok account. So if you're on TikTok, follow us on TikTok. Again, it's at krock_cast. Email us at krock.cast@gmail.com. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.